What up? I don't know what I just said.
You said, Woody, what up?
Hello.
That was the opposite direction.
Oh, I don't care.
Hey, welcome to the Kingsmith podcast. This is episode number 14 of season 2. By the way, Happy New Year's, y'all.
Yeah, we kind of did a thing.
We did? I'm pretty sure the Earth did.
Yeah, the Earth did a thing, which caused us to do a thing.
It did the rotatal thing.
Which caused us to do a thing and stay up till 8 in the morning.
Oh, man. Brody. Yeah, guys, we stayed up with our kids till 8 a.m. Monday morning.
And then we slept till like 5 in the afternoon.
Dude, I didn't move.
Neither of us did.
Like, it was rough.
No, I'm not kidding. We went to IHOP, and as we were going to leave...
It's like 7 o'clock.
Yeah, it was 7 o'clock. As we were going to leave IHOP...
PM,
yeah. As we were going to leave IHOP, my right knee almost gave out on me, and it was a bad time.
Oh, my whole body hurt. Like, everything hurt.
Everything
it was
hurt.
pain.
I was just like...
It was the worst.
Anyway.
Did you have fun, though?
Give it a little longer.
Just
give it a little longer.
Wait till next week. We'll find out if Zach actually had fun or not.
Yeah.
No, I had a pretty good time. It was really a lot of fun. We had laser tag. We had Jackbox games.
We had other games and stuff.
We played Gaga. We used like a bunch of tables and like flipped them on their side and like made a Gaga pit out of them.
We set up my Wii, my Switch, and your Xbox.
We didn't use the Xbox.
We didn't know. Nobody used the Xbox.
We used my Mac a lot though.
Yeah.
That had Jackbox on it.
Yeah, I had Jackbox on it.
Yeah.
No, for next year. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that was what we were doing on New Year's. Hope you guys had a fun New Year's as well.
Hey, tell us what you guys did for New Year's down in the comments below.
Yeah. Whether it was spending it with family or a bunch of teenagers like we did or other things,
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is. All right. So, Zach, what are we talking about in today's episode?
We kind of spoiled it last episode.
We kind of did, yeah.
we actually, there was no kind of. We
said it.
We prophesied.
Wow.
We prophesied last episode. You can't tell me
Sorry,
I'm
that
wrong.
one tickled me a little bit.
We prophesied last episode that we would say, hey, we're doing prophecy this episode. Guess what? The prophecy came true. We're doing prophecy.
Yep, we're doing prophecy.
Yep.
The prophecy that
kind of confusing.
Yeah. Like, is that actually prophecy or is that just called planning?
I'm going to go with C, a little bit of both.
Prophetical planning.
Exactly.
That's what Mary did.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, I stole your thunder. That was your topic.
No, she didn't.
No, she knew.
She knew, but that doesn't mean she planned to have a baby.
Oh, she definitely didn't plan that. The angel told her it was happening.
Just because she knew the prophecies, that doesn't mean...
The angel was like, bro, it's happening. Yep.
Anyway.
Yep.
So, Nathan.
Zachary.
Before we get into like individual topics, because I know both of us kind of planned, hey, I'll take this part of it, I'll take that part of it. What are your your general thoughts on prophecy, biblical prophecy, religious prophecy? Big question, I know.
Way to hit me with the freight train, man. What are my thoughts on prophecy? Well, prophecy is, we're still seeing prophecy happen.
Right.
A lot of people look at the Bible and say, oh, that's already happened. 90% of it's complete. Well, read the book again.
Right.
We got prophecies. Technically, we got prophecies going all the way back to Genesis. But we've got prophecies from Daniel, from Thessalonians, each of them. I guess First Thessalonians, really.
Yeah.
obviously Revelation,
Right.
and those are the big three,
Excuse me.
and a few others
Excuse me
that
again.
have still yet to be completed. You've got let's see. You got the promise to Abraham and the promises to David that are still being kept,
Uh-huh.
especially David,
Right.
that are still to be kept and have been kept.
Uh-huh.
Actually, in fact, the was it 2 Samuel chapter 7?
Right.
Jesus, not Jesus. Sorry, God tells. Well, Jesus is God. It's a weird.
It is weird.
God told David that he was going to rise up a son from him.
AKA Jesus.
Well, in the verse I'm thinking specifically, he was talking about Solomon. But then after
Right.
that, right after that, God says, "Hey, by the way, I'm establishing your kingdom forever." So there's going to be another one. He was inferring another one is also going to rise up as well.
Uh-huh.
And so you
Yep.
see Jesus establish himself on earth, but even though he is the king, has the kingdom actually shown itself yet on earth, Zach?
No.
No, the 1,000-year reign of the Messianic King is still yet to come.
Right.
So it's a two-part, but a lot of people miss that.
Yep. Anyway.
So
Yeah.
you can tell I'm excited about this.
Yeah. Before we dive into more specific things, because there is a lot
Hey,
to prophecy.
you hit me with the train, so I hit you right back.
I was gonna hit myself with the train anyway. So, you know.
Hey, Zach, what are your thoughts on prophecy in general?
Okay, prophecy in general. Okay, first of all, be careful with the prophecies you see, particularly, of course, and what the ones you mentioned in Revelation,
Yep.
Daniel, First Thessalonians. The Gospels Jesus prophesies about the
Yep.
end times.
Yep. Yep.
So be careful about prophecies we haven't seen fulfilled yet.
Yeah, for real.
For real.
Yeah, be careful about it.
But and also there is a difference between true biblical prophecy and religious prophecy.
Right.
Because there's the Bible, and then there's all the other religions like the Greek pantheon, the Norse pantheon.
Right.
Name an area of the world that had a religion of some sort that
Yeah.
wasn't Christianity at some
Yep.
point
Yep.
in its
Yep.
history.
Absolutely.
So there is a difference between biblical prophecy, the prophecies we see in the Bible, and the prophecies we see in other religions. And we'll get into some of those differences along the
Right.
way.
Yes, we will.
And it's prophecy. The only one who can prophesy 100% accurately, 100% truthfully at any time is God.
Yes.
Why? Because God is outside of time.
Absolutely. He can see
So-
ahead. He already knows what's going to happen.
So I had an illustration with this, but it's going to be a little awkward, all right? You might not be able to hear me as well. So,
All right,
God
can we
being-
pause it? Because the battery looks like it's going to be...
all right.
1 second.
One moment.
So what was your illustration, Zachary?
So my illustration here. So forgive me, podcast listeners. The illustration might cause some audio problems, but we'll see.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to use my mic here as an illustration. Look here. I can see the beginning of my microphone. I'm using my microphone as Nathan shoves his in my face. I can see the end, right? And I can see everything in between. I can see the entirety of the microphone. That's what God is to time, basically. So God can see the end, the beginning, the middle, and
Yes.
like a microphone, God can reach in and change out the batteries, change out some of the inner mechanisms. As these mics as these microphones age and die, we might replace parts on them, blah, 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 whatever.
These were like $60 mics.
These
So.
were like $60 mics.
Just replace.
Yeah, but you get the
Yeah,
name,
yeah, we
right?
get the
As you know, and you can use that with everything. You can use that with your phone, with your camera, with your microphone, with a Christmas tree that it's in our view but isn't in
Right.
the camera. Whatever you want, you can. I'm gonna stick to technology, and if your phone messes up, you can go in, you can take it apart, and you can see, oh, that's a problem,
Right.
and fix it, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's phones is a little bit tough because of the way they're made, but like
Right.
especially like computer stuff.
Right.
Like you see a problem with it, you reach in, you fix it, right?
Uh-huh.
Especially people like me
Yeah.
who do their own custom building and all that.
Right.
Yeah. So God knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So now Zachary,
Yes, Nathan.
what is your favorite, or maybe when you think of the word prophecy, like the first thing that like pops into your head?
Okay, the first thing that pops into my head, and I know this is different for both of us because both of us, when we were planning for this episode, both of us went to different areas
Yes,
of the
we did.
scriptures.
I'm pulling up mine right now, actually. Oh, he's dying.
I'm over whatever I had a few weeks ago, but allergies are still a thing.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I get that.
So this actually kind of worked out for both of us because both of us went to different areas of the scripture, different prophecies in scripture.
Right.
You already mentioned yours. You went to end times and Revelation,
Yeah.
which we'll get to in a bit. I went to the prophecies about Jesus, and about his birth, his life,
Right.
his death, his resurrection, the miracles he would do, the events of his life. You know what I did, Nathan?
What'd you do, Zachary?
I went and I counted the prophecies about Jesus and what would happen. There are at least 32 prophecies concerning
32?
Yeah, concerning the life of Jesus.
Nice.
There are 32 prophecies concerning the life of Jesus, and he fulfilled all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
All of them.
Yep.
So, first prophecy about Jesus is obviously Genesis 3.
Yes.
And
Yep, Genesis 3. It started there.
And, he says to the snake, I will put enmity between you and the seed of the woman, blah, 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 blah. You shall bruise his heel, he shall crush your head, which seems like a bad trade-off.
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Like, you're going to all you're going to do is bruise his heel, and your head's getting crushed. The heck, man. That's a bad trade-off. Anyway, and then you go, and obviously I think we've stated here on the podcast before, that prophecy, that specific prophecy was made a
Prophecy?
prophecy.
Guys, that prophecy.
That
The specific prophecy.
Hey, I never claimed to be good at English.
Anyway.
we have a lot of fun here.
Yes, we do.
But anyway, that the prophecy in Genesis 3 is made a minimum of 4,000 years before Jesus was born.
Minimum.
A minimum, and a lot of people say the Earth is between 6,000 and 10,000 years old.
That math adds up.
So minimum 4,000, maximum 8,000.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, or along that line.
Along those lines. If the Earth is actually between, 6,000 and 10,000 years old.
Right.
It could be older, it could be younger, we don't know. Anyway.
I don't think it could be younger. I think maybe a little bit older, but I don't think younger.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, that's so obviously first prophecy about Jesus is made approximately. We'll stick with that minimum number and say approximately 4,000 years before Jesus was even born.
Like, that's insane. That's intense.
That's insane. The minimum number of years that prophecies were made about Jesus is 400 years.
Yes.
The minimum.
That's right.
That is the minimum
Malachi?
number. Yeah.
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 Malachi. I don't know if all the prophets had prophecies specifically pertaining to Jesus, but I think most of them did.
I
Anyway,
think almost all of them do.
yeah.
I'd have to look
But
again.
anyway,
It's been a while.
but why is that? Is because there is a 400-year gap between the last verses of Malachi and the first verses of Matthew. Now, uh, that's just, in terms of how our Bible is arranged today.
Right.
We do not know if Malachi was the last prophet to write anything down about Jesus, or.
I mean, there is something called the 400 years silence.
Right.
We don't know about, if there was any, we don't know about any others. But, God's given us all the books and teaching that we need to have
Well,
just for
Right.
our own sakes.
yeah. Well,
I'm sure there was more.
Well, what I was specifically referencing is most of the time
Mm-hmm.
the Bible does not give us a specific time period.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Well, I don't know about most of the time, but
well, there and
a good chunk.
there's a good chunk
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, I'll say that this way: most of the prophets do not give it. I don't think
Yes.
they give us as. Okay, most of the prophets give us times during their rule, so you could arrange it
Right.
by rule of the kings, but outside of that, a good chunk of the Bible does not give us a timeline, kind of, in a way. There's a good portion of the Bible where you're like,
Okay, I could see that.
yeah. So in Genesis 3, well, okay, I'll say it this way: in terms of how long it was between Genesis chapter 2 and Genesis chapter 3, we don't know.
No, we don't. There's
We
a
do
lot
not
of
It could have
speculation.
been days, weeks, months, years.
See, I stay away from years because this is why I stay away from years.
Yeah.
Is because they were commanded. Well, I guess after the fall, they were commanded to fill the earth. Was that after or before?
Before.
That was before. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're commanded to fill the earth and multiply. So it's like, you really think they're gonna wait years, months, a few weeks or a few months? I can see that. But years, I don't know. Like, they had a lot of work to do, and they got a lot of work done. They were naming everything.
Point being,
But I don't know.
point being, we do not know exactly the amount of time, whether it was a month or a year between the finishing of creation and the giving of the command of not eating this tree, and the snake appearing in the garden and tempting Eve and whatever. Anyway, so
Ooh, there's something I want to look up. You keep going.
here is one difference between biblical prophecy and other religious prophecy. Other religious prophecy, I don't think, is as specific as the Bible is in terms of their prophecy. I'm going to pick from Norse mythology just because I know that particularly well. So their version of Ragnarok, it's basically the end of the world.
Right.
Balder dies, Fimbulwinter, battle to end the world. They do not give a time when Balder is supposed to die. They do not give, Balder will die by mistletoe. They do not give, Balder will die due to Loki's mischief.
Keep going. I'm gonna grab something.
Yeah, they do not give, Balder will remain in the underworld because of a certain type of promise or a certain type of thing not being fulfilled.
Right.
Now,
Right.
as I said, there are over 30 prophecies about the life of Jesus, and all of them are specific. Like, they will call his name Emmanuel.
Yes.
He will be the Prince of Peace.
Mighty God.
Mighty God. all those names. He will be betrayed by a friend. I think that's yeah. And one of my favorites that Pastor David, that we've had on the podcast here before, he pointed out when we were going over the Psalms. I think it was Psalms 36. Yeah, Psalm 36, where it says, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Jesus said,
Yeah, Jesus recited it.
Recited it. My God, why have you forsaken me?" There, it's amazing. There is a the amount of specificity.
Mhm.
I got it right. To to the prophecies in the Bible
Mhm.
about the Messiah that you don't really see in other religious prophecies. And I'm going to tack on a little bit. Even you don't even see this type of it's a hard word.
You good? You
You
good?
don't even see this type of specificity in fictional prophecies.
Wait.
Fictional prophecies.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, okay.
Like
I didn't hear fictional. Okay,
fictional prophecies.
I was like, wait a minute. I was like, whoa.
You missed a word there, buddy.
I missed the.
Anyway,
Yeah.
and of course, prime example for us. Both of us love Star Wars, right?
Uh-huh.
And what's a big prophecy in the Star Wars universe, or the big prophecy in the Star Wars universe?
Anakin being the chosen one,
Yeah. What's that prophecy? Do you know?
that he would unite the dark and the light side of the, which technically he did.
Like, technically he did, but you're right. Technically he did, but the
Maybe
prophecy is
unconventional means, but
in a roundabout sort of way.
it happened. He was the light, he was the dark, and at the end he was like, "Nah, I'll do whatever I want."
Stay tuned for the Star Wars episode.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. By the way,
where we just lore dump. Anyway,
Obi-Wan was great.
yep.
Tell me, oh,
Excuse me. I was done.
Zach got allergic to the words Obi-Wan.
Anyway,
The sequels were trash.
yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway,
Any whoosies?
we'll talk about that. I have an entire episode planned about the sequel trilogy. That is, we're just gonna.
I've got a prophecy for you.
What?
In Genesis chapter 2.
Ooh.
So this one actually, somebody, a very close friend of mine actually brought to my attention yesterday. But if you go to Genesis chapter 2, God's talking to Adam, and he says, "But from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. From the day that you eat from it, you will surely die." All right, let's actually read that.
You want to know how I know about this prophecy?
How do you know about it?
One of the professors at Calvary talked about it a whole
Yeah.
bunch.
I actually didn't pick up on this.
I picked up on it.
I didn't pick up on it until just recently, and it like totally changed the way I read this passage. Any tree of the garden you may eat, but from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat from it, you will surely die. Guys, that statement, if you're Adam and you're perfect and you have zero context for anything else that happens after that, how would you take that statement? For in the day that you eat from it, you will surely die.
I don't know because I'm not perfect and have other context of all the stuff that came after that.
Okay. Say you just existed, but you didn't have any other context for what was going to happen, and then God tells you that. For in the day that you eat from it. Guys, that's a prophecy.
Yep.
That's prophetical. Now, did maybe Adam catch on?
Nope.
I don't think so.
He was like, "Oh, cool, God. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll cool the day."
I don't think he caught on, but the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall eat, for in the day, or you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat from it, you will surely die.
That
He the phrase "for in the day" is actually it's one word in Hebrew, and guess what that Hebrew word is?
What?
Yom.
Yom. Oh.
Yom literally means day or age,
Right.
not day age. Freaks.
I think we've already
Day
talked about
or
this.
age. We've already talked about this.
We've already talked about this. Go watch our
Go watch
creations.
that one.
Go watch that one.
Creation episode. I don't know. I don't remember what one that was. Scroll back. You'll see
Scroll
it.
back. It'll say have creation in the title. Anyway,
Anywho.
this is how the Calvary professor explained it.
Yeah.
Or how I remember him explaining it.
Who was that?
Dr. Smith.
Oh, yeah. I like him. He's my guy.
I think I remember him telling me more because I was in more of his classes. That's another topic. Anyway, but yeah, Dr. Smith explained it almost exactly the same way. He's just like, in the day that you do, he's just like, hey guys, this is a prophecy. He's saying Adam will do it.
Yeah.
He's saying he already knows that Adam's going to do it. He's saying
Adam didn't pick up on it.
he didn't say for. He didn't say if you do it. He didn't say for if you do it. He said in the day.
Yeah.
He didn't say if. He said when.
Essentially is what. Yeah. Essentially, he said when.
He didn't say if you
It
do it.
was
He
a
said
little bit more spiced in there, but it's
Yeah.
there.
yeah. That's the basics of it. He didn't say if you do it. He
Right.
said when you do.
Hey, by the way, when you eat from this thing, because I looked ahead, I cheated. This is what's going to happen. And then not only do they both eat from the tree, but then what happened after that? Everything fell.
Everything fell.
And they eventually did die.
And what made it worse is Adam shifted blame about it. He's just like,
No, it was
wasn't
her.
me.
It was her.
It wasn't me.
It was her.
Okay. I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit
Go for it.
of Genesis 3, but I'm gonna do it in a specific
Do
way. So that y'all know what I'm talking about. Adam did this. Hey God, it wasn't my fault. It was the woman that you created for me.
You did it. You did it, God. Wow. You set me up for failure. That's essentially what he told God.
Yeah.
You set me up.
And then God went to Eve and was like, the heck did you do? And he was like, it wasn't me. It was the snake that you created, God. And God's just like, yeah.
Man.
If I was God, I'd be so done.
If I were God, they would have been toast before I even got to the garden.
Anyway, let's get back to prophecy. We kind of derailed a little bit there. Anyway,
not too much. But
Not too much. But
So
okay, I'm gonna stick with Genesis 2 for a second here.
Go for it.
Imagine God coming to you and saying, like, you're perfect, and saying, hey, don't eat of this tree. He's like, hey, you can eat of any tree in this garden, but this tree, by the way, you're gonna mess up.
Right. It's incredible, man. It's crazy.
It is crazy, and that's how prophecy is, right? It's all crazy. Okay, Nathan. Let's transition here. I think we covered the prophecies in the Old Testament fairly well.
Well, we covered the first one a little bit.
We've covered the first one a little bit, but if we don't continue this episode,
Oh, I know. It's going to take us an hour or 2 or 4.
Anyway, so Nathan, when I say prophecy, what jumps to your mind?
Oh man, when you say prophecy, what jumps to my mind? Ooh. I think I instantly think of Revelation.
Right.
I love the book of Revelation.
Right.
Because it's all future.
It is all future.
All of it's future. And I like thinking about it because I'm going to say that we're farther than we think we are, but we're nearer than where we were before. Does that make sense?
Right.
So And I mean, obviously, by definition, each day we're technically closer to the rapture. But
Amen.
what I mean, yeah, I know, right? But what I mean by that is we're getting closer, and if you watch things in the world start to kind of go down, you start to see, okay, we can see how some things are falling into place.
Right.
Um, you've got oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm one of those types of people that when it talks about the bear and the great eagle
Uh-huh.
or Babylon the Great,
Uh-huh.
which might have given y'all that sentence might have just given you a hint what my feelings are.
Uh-huh.
I'm one of those people that says, okay, I think they're talking about modern day countries that we're seeing today.
Right.
Because let's be real here, is the United States going away anytime soon?
No,
No. Is Russia going away anytime soon?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
That
Is
one's a little more
Israel going away anytime soon? Absolutely not.
No.
Is China going to go away anytime soon? No.
Right.
Is India. Okay, the only thing that we don't know is who the king of the East is going to be, because
We do not.
I actually don't believe that it's going to be China.
We'll see.
I don't think so. I think their economy is too jacked up.
Okay. This
I'm
is
going to just be honest with you.
okay.
But
This is what I'm talking about when I say be careful about interpreting prophecy.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's get one thing straight. I know you have a whole thing, but I'm gonna go off on a little rant.
Oh,
here.
go for it. Go for it.
Okay. I have several people who are like, "Oh, we're past the millennial reign, but because blah 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 happened. Oh, we're past this event in the tribulation because blah 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 happened."
Mhm.
Okay. No.
Right.
Okay. I'm pre-trib. I'm a pre-tribulation rapturist.
I'm
That was
pre-tribulation rapturist. I love that.
that is yes. So what does that mean? It means I believe that the rapture will happen before the tribulation, and I believe that's what Revelation clearly states is that the
Mhm.
tribulation before the tribulation starts, the rapture will happen, and we will the faithful of God so far,
Mhm.
because there's going to be tribulation saints. The saints that are on earth still from the church age will be taken up to heaven.
Right.
We'll chill with God for a little while, then we'll chill with God some more, and then we'll chill with God throughout eternity. That's going to be awesome.
Right.
And then, the events of the tribulation will happen. The great white throne judgment. End of time, blah, 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 new heaven, new earth.
Right.
Home free. We're home free. Not the band, their phrase.
I mean,
Anyway,
I like the band, but yeah.
but this was also something I was trying to get at when I was saying the Bible doesn't give us a specific timeline for
Right.
anything. Because when Jesus talks about end times, I think this is in the Gospels, but when Jesus talks about the end times, he's saying, he said, I will come as a thief in the
A
night.
thief in the night, yes.
He says, saying, hey, you will not be able to see when I am coming.
No, we will. We're not going to know.
We're not going to know.
We will have zero
We're not.
knowledge or any head time.
Yeah, we are not going to know.
Yeah.
Now, of course, in Revelation, does it give us signs? Yes. He said, there are signs that will happen. Much like, hey, Nathan,
Mm-hmm.
maybe our two areas of prophecy are a little bit more closely connected than we think.
Right.
Right. Much like when when the Old Testament prophets and the Old Testament saints like David, Moses,
Uh-huh.
Any one of the patriarchs, when they prophesied about Jesus, God was like, hey, here are some of the signs that the Messiah is here, and here's a roadmap of what he's going to do
Right.
and what's going to happen to him. Right.
Right.
God, and like obviously the two big ones are in Daniel and Revelation. Like
Yeah, Daniel and Revelation are like,
that like
they're
of
hand in
course
hand.
you mentioned First Thessalonians, but when people think about end times, people think about Daniel and people think about Revelation. Anyway, God gave us like, okay, here are signs that the end times are here,
Right.
but I'm not going to tell you exactly when.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, here's the sign. You're going to know. And honestly, we don't need to know. The way that it's written, the way things fall into place, we're going to be gone before the rapture's going to happen. We're going to be gone. So it's like there's this tiny little gap time that
Right.
it's almost like Revelation and Daniel and First Thessalonians and a few others are almost written around. It's like they're written around the rapture. Like it's like
Right.
you get all this stuff, you get all this preparation, and all of a sudden, boom, is people are in heaven, and then all of a sudden, this is the hellish landscape that's going to happen to the earth.
Right.
And so, looking at that, it's less of a blueprint for us to know when, but more for us to know currently today that it's going to happen. Therefore, we need to be prepared and act
Right.
as if it's going to be tomorrow because he's coming like a thief in the night. But
Right.
once it happens, God gives the blueprint, the map for all the people who will be involved and living throughout the tribulation and
Right.
throughout all of the quarters of the earth that get burned. I
Right.
mean, literally, by the time that this is something that's freaky to think about, Zach.
Yeah.
By the time the Lord ends the earth is basically gone.
Right.
Like, there's not much left. There's only a sliver. There might be a couple nations. Like,
There might be. Well, there might not even be a couple nations. There might just be a few scatterings of people.
well, and that's kind of how it's written anyway, because
Right.
at the end they all try to like gather to war against Israel.
All
But
right.
it's like some from over here and over there and all of there. They all gathered together. They ran in on horses and chariots and everything.
Right.
So that's something that people don't think about either. Horses, chariots, foot soldiers,
Right.
like they're covered in armor and everything. Like, whoa, what happened to warfare? You know what I think happens?
What?
Honestly, dude, I think that the world is going to be so destroyed at some point that, and I don't know when, but I think it's going to be so destroyed that all of our technology, all the advances that we made and
Right.
everything are basically worthless. Like, we
Right.
won't have any of it.
We won't have any of it.
We'll be reset essentially to base zero.
At the very least, it implicates that by the time these scattered nations come to form Israel, and they're like in chariots and with horses and all this stuff,
Yep.
that the technology we've had, like missiles, tanks, planes,
Nukes.
stealth technology. Name name something that was probably created in World War II, and it's gone. Like, everything is just basically so destroyed at this point that the sonar technology can't work because all the satellites are gone. Whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
That's interesting to think about. Would
yeah.
satellites be gone?
I think so.
I think they would have
Because you can't tell me that these nations that are warring with each other wouldn't be like, we have to destroy the satellites to get an advantage on our opposition.
Yeah.
All right, we are back.
Wait, hold up.
All right, now we're back.
We're back.
All right.
We're back again.
Anyway, but yeah, it's gonna be crazy, and think about this: the raptured saints will pretty much be in heaven at the throne, like in or near, at or near the throne of God,
Right.
just watching all of this go down.
Right.
Huh?
What?
I have something to say about the Great White Throne Judgment, but
Yeah.
I think that might be best for the end.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it sounded like you had something else to say
I
there.
did.
was
I
like,
do have something else, but I want to save that for closer to the end of the,
All
episode.
right, you'll get there.
We'll get there.
But
Prophecy.
right, exactly. Yeah, but I'm excited for.
I am too.
It's weird. It's like I'm excited for the destruction that the Lord's going to bring. yes, I'm excited, but also in a way I'm sad about it because it's like
In a way,
we
yes.
screwed it up that bad.
We
Like
well,
we
okay.
really did.
And of course, we mentioned it before. There are 2 times in the Bible where God is just like, "That's it. I'm done. Destroy everything. Start again." One
Right.
is obviously the flood. You know, He said, "That's it. I'm done with humanity as it is now. Destroy everything. Save this one family." Boom.
Right.
Start again. And of course, the second time is in Revelation. It's this God saying, "I'm going to save the current creation as it is, and
Mhm.
one family as it is, and destroy everything else, and
Right.
bring everything back the way it was." He's saying, "I am absolutely finished with creation as it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
All my saints, come up. You're perfect now.
Right.
You have 7 years. 7 years to get your act together, which you won't." That's another thing about the Revelation prophecy.
Mhm.
God is saying, "All right, I'm giving everybody these 7 years to get their act together, and I might spare the earth, but they won't. So
They
I'm
won't.
just gonna,
Yeah, that's right. Because they'll never repent.
they won't.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna wipe everything clean, create a new heaven, a new earth,
Restart.
hit the maximum reset button."
What's weird is that he could just say we're done, rapture and wipe the earth, but
Right,
he chooses to go through this big process and rigmarole and everything, and it's
Right.
like, why does he want to do that? Well, I mean, part of it is A, it's God's story.
right,
I mean, he's going to write his love letter and he's going to finish it. But B, doing it this way, I think actually elongates the amount of time that is available for people to come to know Christ and be saved. But
me.
he does have to let his wrath out. Like it
Right.
has to happen.
he
His wrath is like being pent up. Like he's just like, I want to crush the planet. I hate evil, but I'm gonna let it happen for a little bit longer until.
and part of that is,
Whoosh.
part of this is we are just tying the prophecies of Jesus and the prophecies of the end times even closer together.
Right.
The prophecy, there is a prophecy that Jesus, I think it's a prophecy about Jesus, says that it was pleased, God was pleased to crush him.
Yeah.
Right? And that means that he's like, okay, I let my wrath out, a little bit of my wrath out in the flood.
Right.
The flood isn't even a fraction of the full wrath.
Oh, nowhere near.
Just
Nowhere
hatred
near.
and think of all those emotions and of wrath and hatred tied to just hating sin and hating evil and being angry that this perfect and good world that you created got messed up so bad that you have to. And then he centered it all on Jesus.
Right.
He's just like, I'm centering this all on my son because he's the one who can bear the entire brunt of it.
Right.
But that's not the last time I'm going to release my wrath.
Let's see. the Jesus dying on the cross enabled us to be saved. So
Right.
that was the road to salvation.
Right.
So that part of the wrath was over.
Right.
The punishment was done.
Uh-huh.
But here's the thing. Let's say you send your only son to the planet.
Right.
He dies.
Uh-huh.
He comes back to life. So defeats death, Satan, and also bore the punishment for the sin.
Right.
Now say that the people that he died for still rejected him.
Right.
Rejected a second time. Guys,
Right.
by the way, by the time that all of us are born in this age today, this is our second chance.
Right.
We are living the second chance. If you don't accept God's second chance to man, you're toast.
Guess what, guys? This isn't baseball. There's no strike 3, you're out. It's 2 strikes. Strike 2, you're done.
And by the way, strike 1's already been used.
Right.
That was used in the Garden of Eden. The first strike was Adam Eaton.
Right.
So we're on strike number 2,
Right.
and we're done. But
right.
Well, sorry, Zach and I are saved. I hope you're saved too.
Yeah.
If not, talk to us. If you know us in person, talk to us.
If you know
Mhm.
a pastor, and if you have a pastor in your life or someone who's a Christian, talk to them. Just be like,
Yeah.
hey,
And if you got nobody that you can go to, right here, right now, get on your knees and pray this to God. God, I believe who you are. I believe that you sent your son to die for us. And I believe that Jesus is the Christ who was raised again on the third day to save us from our sins and defeat death and Satan. I believe exactly who you are. Amen. That's
and
what
if
you do.
Yeah, and if you want to take it a step further, be like, Lord, I know I have sinned against you. I have sinned against you alone. I am the reason your son was sent to die. Please, please forgive me for every single sin I've done, every single
Yes.
sin I will do, every single sin I am doing right now.
Right.
Right.
And he will.
And he will.
He will.
If you prayed, whether it was the prayer Nathan said or the prayer both Nathan and I said or the prayer I said, if you truly believe that Jesus has come to save you, he will.
Mm-hmm.
He will.
He will.
And if you are not
Well,
convinced,
he already has.
he already has.
If you prayed that, then he already has.
Yes. If you pray that. If you're
Welcome to the family, by the way.
welcome, my brother or my sister.
Yeah.
And if you are not yet convinced, let me go a little bit farther in, as it pertains to prophecy and what will happen in the end times. So, at the end of everything, after the tribulation, God has destroyed the world.
Mm-hmm.
There is something that is known as the Great White Throne Judgment.
Oh goodness,
This is the last thing before eternity.
Right.
This is the last thing. If you reach the Great White Throne Judgment, your chances are already used up.
Yeah.
You are done.
If you're at that
Okay.
one, you're toast.
You are done. There are two.
Well, and you've already been in hell for a long time.
There are two seated judgments. There's the Bema seat, where it's basically
That's where we going.
that's where the Christians go. They get their reward. Yada yada.
You basically give an account of your life to God.
You
which
give your
is
account of your life to God.
going to be terrifyingly fun because we know what's going to happen, but it's still like, oh, this is awkward.
The second judgment is the worst of the two
Yeah.
because you're basically getting your eternal punishment.
Yeah, the Great White Throne. Don't go there.
Do not go there.
No. Now, here's something terrifying, Zach.
Are we thinking the same thing, Nathan?
I think so.
Here we go.
Are you thinking what's happening before the White Throne, but after the transition period between hell and second death?
Yeah, go ahead.
The way that, excuse me, I need to adjust. The way that it's written, guys, they're going before the Great White Throne of Judgment, which means those people either individually or as a whole, I'm not sure how that works. We'll know when we get there. We'll watch it happen, by the way.
Yeah.
We will watch it happen. If you are a Christian, you're going to watch the Great White Throne.
Right.
You're going to see it.
We're gonna see it. And they're gonna be
hold on.
right before you go.
Come on, man.
I'm sorry, man. Christians, as you are watching this, there will be people that you know, whether it's that you've worked with, that are family, that are friends, that you know,
Right.
and they are going to be judged, and that's the really sad part.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, you're gonna see it.
You are going to see it. Anyway, keep going. With
But
what you were saying.
before the people get judged, where is that Great White Throne of Judgment, Zachary?
Oh, I don't remember where
It's in heaven.
It's in heaven.
The Great White Throne is in heaven.
Oh,
What does that tell you? If you're seeing it, if you're watching it, and the Great White Throne of Judgment's in heaven, that means if you were in hell for literally thousands of years, you will be in heaven at one point for an indiscriminate amount of time.
right.
only to get sent back
And he gets sent.
to even worse. The
Right.
lake of fire, which burns forever and ever, and you will be falling forever because it's the pit. You literally go straight from being tortured for thousands of years in hell to a blip of time in heaven to something even worse, which makes the torture and torment even more horrible because you know
What?
you already know if you're in hell, but when you go before that judgment seat, you know that you did not choose Christ in your earthly life. The torment and the wailing from those people from hell that will be in heaven for just a little bit of time, the crying, the weeping will be beyond anything that we can ever imagine or hear. Why do you think immediately after the great white throne of judgment, it says every tear will be wiped away from their eyes? By their eyes, he's referring to all of the heavenly dwellers. Why do you think that that's written there? Because we'll have just gotten done watching all of our friends, maybe family members, people we don't know, billions, maybe trillions of people that we don't know get sentenced to the worst punishment that has ever existed, ever. Think about that.
Hey.
That's what's prophesied. That's what we're going to see. We will be wailing and crying for all those people that we're watching. I'm betting even some people are even going to try to reach out and stop them.
Hey, you want to know what makes it even worse?
What's that?
There are going to be people. I don't know how. Okay, we don't know how the Lord is going to judge people, whether it's going to be a single file line or a group of people at a time. I'm imagining a single file line.
I don't know.
There are going to be people amongst the group of people going to hell, which, by the way, side note briefly, going to hell and going to the lake of fire is God honoring our choice to be separated from Him.
Yeah.
That's a side note. That's another episode. But that's God honoring.
Agony from that.
Yeah, that's God honoring your choice, saying, "Hey, you chose to live your life separate from me. You're gonna spend eternity separate from me."
Yeah.
It was not my doing because I wanted you to be saved. You said no.
Right. Like, dude, I already sent my son. Like, you made the choice.
Yeah, you said no. But what's gonna make it even worse is there are gonna be people amongst that group going to hell, going to the lake of fire, spending eternity away from God.
Right.
Coming up to God, to Jesus, saying, "Hey, I spent my life serving you.
Yes.
I spent my life serving you, doing your work." And you know what God is going to say to them?
Depart from me.
Depart from me, I never knew you.
Yeah.
You want to know why?
False teaching.
Yes. But the greater reason why is because there is one thing God wanted us to do. And I'm not talking about not eating at the tree. There is one thing God wanted us to do. God said, "I sent my son to save you."
Yeah.
You rejected him actively.
Right.
I am honoring your choice. I do not know who you are. I did not come to save you.
Yeah.
Depart from me, I know you.
Never knew you.
I never knew you. You know who is going to be among those people who God says, "Depart from me, I never knew you"?
Yeah, who's that?
The Sanhedrin that basically sentenced Jesus to death. You know what they were? Religious leaders. So Caiaphas and Annas, the high priest, because
they were demonic. I think
the high priest.
I think they were demon possessed.
Okay. But they're gonna come up to God and say, "Lord, Lord, I did your work." And
boy, when Caiaphas and the Sanhedrin and the Pharisees
and Jesus
get up to that seat,
Jesus is gonna be saying,
Jesus
"Hey,
is gonna be like,
hey, Dad, those are them.
Who's the high priest now?
Dad, those are the guys that bullied me while I was on Earth."
Hey, Dad. Oh boy. Well, we really shouldn't joke about that though,
We
because
shouldn't. I'm not.
I mean,
We're not trying to joke about it.
they're
They-
well, okay. They really have it coming. So
They-
does Judas, by the way.
They have it coming. Okay, so
Judas probably gonna get blasted straight from the throne.
in terms of Judas and the high priests, I often refrain from saying there's a special place in
Right.
a
A special place in hell.
a special place in hell, a special place in eternal punishment, whatever you want to call it.
Well, if
For
you believe
certain
in, the Dante's view of hell, I mean,
Yeah.
it,
I'm not.
I don't, by the way,
I
but-
do. Neither of us do.
it's a great read, but no,
It is a good read.
it's a great book.
It's a fascinating. It's
that
a
whole
fascinating
series
study.
is fascinating,
Yeah.
actually.
But
But no,
So back to my point.
Sorry.
I refrain from saying there's a special place in eternal punishment for certain people.
right?
But in the case of Judas Iscariot and the Sanhedrin,
Uh-huh.
and I'm including the high priest in that, and the Pharisees and the
Right,
Sadducees
right.
and whatever else, I would not be surprised if when they get up to the great white throne, God says, "I have a special place." All right.
All right, we're back.
Sorry, technical difficulties.
Sorry about that.
But anyway, as I was saying, I hesitate to say there's a special place in eternal punishment for those,
Right.
but for the Sanhedrin and Judas Iscariot, I will not be surprised if God has one for them.
Yep. I don't know how hell works. I don't think anybody actually does. It's not actually
No.
really talked about. So,
And
but that being said,
right,
it could be very well the
It could.
case.
that could be very well the case.
So,
But at the very least,
mm-hmm.
we know this, or I think we can assume this.
Mm.
I think we can assume. I will say it that way. At the very least, I'm going to single out one person, and that is Judas Iscariot. At the very least, I think God will have something special to say to him.
Right.
That's
Oh,
at the
there's gonna be something said. That's how court works.
at the very least. Because guess what, guys? Judas Iscariot can come up and say, "Hey, God, I did your work. I followed your son for 3 years."
Right.
But guess what God's going to say? He's not going to just say, "Depart from me, I never knew you." He's going to say, "Yeah, you followed my son for 3 years, and you betrayed him for the price of a slave."
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so I pulled up the passage about the great white throne. That's in Revelation 20.
Uh-huh.
20 verse 11. This says, "Then I saw a great white throne." This is John writing, by the way. "Then I
Right.
saw a great white throne, and him who sat upon it, from whose presence earth and heaven fled away, and no place was found for them." So
This is
you
some pretty
know it's
powerful
intense.
This is some pretty powerful language, y'all.
And I saw the dead, the great, the small, standing before the throne, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life.
Uh-huh.
And the dead were judged from the things which were written in those books according to their deeds. So it sounds like it's going to happen all at the same time.
Right.
And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and Hades gave up the dead which were in them, and they were judged, every one of them, according to their deed. Oh, man. Death. Wait. So, okay,
Oh.
this gives more credence to what I said earlier about people from hell actually going before the throne
Uh-huh.
in heaven.
Right.
The sea gave up the dead which were in it, and here we go. And death and Hades gave up the dead which were in them, and
Uh-huh.
they were judged, every one of them according to their deeds. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And if anyone's name was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire.
Oh, gosh.
So there is definitely a period of time in there.
There is definitely a period of time in there
Oh.
where the people who are in Hades, as it says. But I'm just
Oh,
going to
man.
say it. Hades is often interchanged with hell and certain translations.
Let me get the Greek for that.
Yeah. Hades and hell are often interchanged because the Greeks would have understand what Hades was, or at least two.
The abode of departed spirits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that would be hell.
That would be hell. So, hell is nothing more than a holding place for those who are going to be judged. A holding place of torture. A holding place of torture. And what you say is true, Nathan, which we don't know. We won't know until we're there.
We don't know till they're there. Yeah.
Yeah, but I actually agree with you that this is what's going to happen. So people who have been in hell for thousands upon thousands of years. So people who died in the flood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thousands of years before Jesus, before his mother even was existing.
Right.
People are going to come up to heaven, and it's going to be very quick. Now, again, we don't know the exact amount of time this is going to take.
We don't know how long it's going to be, but we're talking about the entirety of time.
But I'm guessing it won't take more than I'm guessing a day max, maybe.
Oh, I have no idea.
I have no idea.
mean, see, the worst thing.
Note that I said I'm guessing. That was just a complete guess. That's speculation. I do not know how long it's going to take God to go through all the sinners throughout all of time. From basically Adam to whenever he starts this process. We do not know. But it is going to be a very terrifying and sad process to watch.
Well, and think about it. If you know, like, if you're standing before the great white throne of judgment, you know. And, like, I mean, you got to be thinking, let's think in place, if we were in the place of the people before the great white throne. Like, you've got people that are going to be trying to justify themselves. Mm-hmm. You've got people that are going to be trying to say, what I read, or, the little bits of the Bible I read, I might be able to make it to heaven yet.
Or people saying, Lord, I served you.
Lord, I served you. Or, hey, maybe I didn't believe enough and I had to go through a little bit. But now I can go to heaven, right? Like, my torment's past. There's going to be some people who probably know, we know we're going to hell. Like, just please don't. Like, I don't want to go there, and it's not going to happen.
Please, I do not want to go back. And God will
the
say,
demons say that. Like,
I don't want to go back.
It's hot.
And
yeah.
Good news and bad news. Good news, you're not going back. Bad news, you're going to go somewhere much worse. You are going to...
I don't know if there's any good in there. But it's terrifying. I mean, just think about it.
Another layer to add on top of this is, okay, we both have been pretty clear that we think the Great White Throne is in heaven, and these people are going to be out of Hades, hell, for a brief period of time.
Right.
They will be experiencing heaven for however long they're there.
Right.
We don't know the order.
We don't know the time.
We don't know the time of what God's going to do. We don't know the order, if he's going to start at the beginning of time or go in reverse, like start at the end of time, and just blah, 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 blah. We do not know. So people could be there anywhere from minutes to hours to days.
Right.
And they're going to spend however much time they spend in heaven and experiencing what heaven is like. And then as soon as they get up to the Great White Throne, saying whatever they're going to say, saying, Lord, like saying, you didn't make it clear enough to us that you existed, or I didn't read, like I believed because my parents believed, or I'm saved because my parents were saved and they took me to church. Whatever justification,
right?
They are going to be said. They are going to be told, you did not do the one thing I told you. Your name is not in the book of life.
Right.
Therefore, done. Lake of fire. I'm respecting your choice to be apart from me, and you're going to be apart from me for eternity.
So, moving away from honestly something to actually maybe tear up a little bit.
Yeah.
You go to chapter 21, starting verse 1. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth.
Uh-huh.
For the first heaven and the first earth passed away, and there is no longer any sea.
Right.
And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, made ready as a bride adorned for her husband. So it's going to be a beautiful city. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Behold, the tabernacle of God is among men. He will dwell among them, and they shall be his people, and God himself will be among them. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will no longer be any death. There will no longer be any mourning or crying or pain. The first things have passed away." This isn't, okay, as much as this is prophecy, this isn't just a feel-good type feeling.
Right.
This is a command.
Right. This isn't the stereotypical, oh, they lived happily ever after, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. No.
There will be no longer any mourning. You're not going to cry anymore. There's no pain. All of the things that happened in the past, the people you knew or saw, it's over.
It is done.
This is your new family in Christ. We are in a relationship, a very, very personal, intimate relationship with Christ at that point because we chose Christ. He died for us. He chose us. It's a mixture of both. And we should take a lot of great comfort in that.
Yeah. And we should take a lot of great comfort in, there will be no pain.
Yeah.
All the things we suffered in this life. And I can say this because I suffered a bit.
Oh, we've all been there.
We've all had hard
We've
times.
all been there.
But he said there will be no pain. Something that I've always imagined. This is just my imagination. I have no proof that this will happen. Okay. I have no one thing I want it to be absolutely clear to you, our viewers, our listeners. However, whenever you find this podcast, however you consume it, that sounds weird, but anyway.
No, that's fine.
However you consume, whether you watch on YouTube, on any other video platform that we may post this on, whether you listen on Spotify or any other podcast
Or Patreon.
Wherever you see this, I wanted to make it clear. When it comes to the end times, there's a lot we do not know, and there's a lot we can speculate about.
Right.
But at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's speculation.
Yep.
And
that's it.
Conjecture and a lot of guesswork. That's it.
That's it.
But something that since I've gotten saved, that I've always imagined is for our viewers. You can see I'm wearing glasses. Nathan is wearing glasses. So that means neither of us can see.
Yeah, we can't see that well.
We require help to see clearly. Something that I've always imagined is when I get to heaven, whether that be by death or by rapture, is I can wake up in heaven. Jesus comes up to me, takes off my glasses, and says, "You don't need those anymore."
Oh yeah, that would be epic, man.
You don't need those anymore.
That would be awesome. Hey, by the way, you can see.
And it's going to be a good feeling. Because for those of you that don't know, I have a disability. I will explain that at some other time. This is already a very long episode.
I was going to say, this is a very long episode.
I will say one of the topics we have planned for our future episode is sort of like a get to know us a little bit on a more personal level, where we'll talk about some of the stuff we don't usually talk about on the podcast. But anyway, yeah, at least for me, someone who has a disability, and all the other people who have disabilities, I think it'll be a good feeling for them to be like, the disability's gone. I can use my faculties to the fullest of their extent. I do not have to worry about my Tourette's, my autism, my whatever. Pick a disability and say I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Right.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be amazing. And the best part, no sin.
Yep.
And nothing associated with sin. No passive effects of sin, like sickness, mental illness, depression. It's gone. It's like, bye. The only thing that you're going to have is your personality.
Which raises a question for me. Obviously, we know that the lake of fire and the new heaven and new earth are completely separate. We see that in that parable. I said parallel. We see that
parallel.
We see
that in the parallel.
We see that in the parable of Lazarus and the rich man, where the rich man is saying to Abraham, "Can you send Lazarus to
give me a drop of water?
Give me a drop of water. Can I go back to Earth, warn my family?"
Nope.
And Abraham's like, "Nope."
Too late.
Abraham's like, Lazarus cannot cross the chasm, which means there is something. He calls it a chasm.
Yeah.
In English.
There's literally a gap.
There's so great a gap between heaven and hell, between perfect eternity, eternal reward and eternal punishment.
Right.
That even those in the eternal reward cannot cross it.
That's insane to think about.
That
gives you scale, by the way.
My personal theory is that we will live for so long that eventually the lake of fire will just be so far distant in our memories that we won't even remember it.
Well, I think we'll remember it, but the pain associated with it, I don't think we're going to remember.
Right.
Like that. Yeah, I think we will. But at the same time, it's like we're not going to have much desire, or any desire really to remember Earth or remember anything. Like, okay, we'll remember our friends, relatives, and everything, but it's going to be so different, and I'm excited for it, but I know nothing about it.
I'm excited for it too, because I get to spend eternity with the creator deity of the universe, who saw fit to not only create this universe, create mankind so that I will be able to exist.
Right.
But even after mankind messed it all up, he said, "I am not done with you yet."
Right.
There will be a redeemer. He sent Jesus. He sends his son. Which, by the way, that's crazy to think about. The creative deity of the universe sent his son to Earth. And what did we do? We killed him.
Yeah.
We killed him. That's crazy to think about. And yes,
we're nuts.
We're nuts. I consider myself just as guilty of killing Jesus as Judas Iscariot.
Yeah.
The Sanhedrin who sentenced him to death before a trial, by the way. And the Romans involved that basically carried out their
order.
The order. I consider myself just as guilty of killing Jesus as they were.
But you know what Jesus said though, on that cross? Forgive them, Father. They know not what they do.
Right.
Even Jesus on the cross had grace.
You know what else he said?
Mm-hmm.
It is finished.
Yep. That battle was over. That battle was over. But the next one began.
The next one began.
The next one is, the one that he's going to have against the earth, which won't really take that long. But
another fascinating thing, y'all, is that battle is over. That battle is won.
Yeah.
But guess what? The war is also won already.
Oh, yeah. The war is as if it's already won.
The war is won already.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we're not there yet, but it's going to be won. So, it's won.
We are not there yet.
Which, by the way, gives credence to how Isaiah writes.
Right.
Because Isaiah is in the Old Testament, but it says, "For he was crushed," or bruised. He was bruised for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities.
Right.
And Isaiah wasn't there yet.
He wasn't there yet.
He was 700 years early.
Right.
Right? Yeah, he was 700 years early.
Right.
But he had so much confidence and he knew what was going to happen that he was taking the position of a past tense because it was as if he was looking back at what he was being revealed to by, or what he was being revealed from by God.
Right.
It was as if it already happened. That's how confident he was, and that's
Right.
how confident we should be.
Right.
Zach, we got to wrap this thing up, man.
I know.
We could keep talking forever.
Okay, just to end it, I'm not gonna summarize because we talked about it a whole lot.
Yeah, there's no way.
You want a summary of what happened? Go watch the episode again. Rewind.
Yeah, rewind. 2 times speed.
2 times speed. But to end it, we can be confident now as much as Isaiah was confident back then.
Yeah.
And not just Isaiah. All of the prophets that prophesied about Jesus were confident enough to say he was crushed for our iniquities. You know.
We saw it.
To write as if
watched it.
To write as if it already happened.
Right.
And guess what? John wrote Revelation as if it already happened.
But yeah, he wrote it both as if and that it was going to.
Right.
Like he had a mixture of both. But yeah, it's a little bit of a both.
It's a little bit of both. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But it gives,
because it's definitely very future. But
right.
Yeah.
But even so, it gives Daniel the credence to write as if it already happened, or as he was writing it as if it was happening right in front of his eyes,
right.
As if he was watching it. Which I'm super excited to meet characters like Daniel and David.
Dude, when we get to heaven and we have the heavenly version of the King Smith podcast, by the way,
we don't know that that's going to happen.
It'll be a great interview.
That would be a great interview.
Hey, by the way, Job, Adam, for those of you on Spotify, I have my glasses down, side-eyeing Adam.
Okay, Adam. For those of you on Spotify, my arms are crossed, like I'm about to beat Adam.
All right.
His life.
All right. We got to end this here. Thank you guys for watching this episode of the King Smith podcast.
Thank you guys.
Patreon, Spotify, all in the description.
Y'all, and if I could get tad personal to end this, I'm sorry. Y'all, it really means a lot. We've been watching the channel grow.
Yeah, we have been watching a little bit of growth.
We've been watching growth. For those of you that are subscribed to the YouTube channel,
thank you.
That are following us on Patreon. Well, those of you who in the future might
we're still at 0 Patreons, Brody.
Might subscribe to us on Patreon. I'm talking to you. And for those of you who follow us on Spotify, thank you for listening to us at times ramble and get off topic. Thank you for
being patient with us.
Thank you for listening to us talk about subjects we're passionate about.
Yeah.
So be looking out for the next episode.
Be watching.
Wherever you are, whenever you're listening to this, we hope you had a great holiday.
Yeah.
If there's another holiday coming up, we hope it's great for you. Oh, not for us.
Sometime.
Not for us, but for other people.
Alrighty.
All right. Bye.
Happy birthday. Happy Easter. Goodbye.
Bye.
Ain't